listening to the Watercooler Edit with Rich and Eman.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Watercooler Edit with mybayut, hosted by myself, Eman, and Richard. And today we're actually going to be talking about something really special. Richard, do you want to introduce what it is?
Today we're talking Michelin Guide, those restaurants which have achieved the fabled Michelin status, got themselves Michelin Stars. So we're going to be talking about the restaurants that have maintained their status as Michelin starred, and the newbies as well, the newbies on the list.
Yep, and we'll also be delving a little bit into the bib gourmands that are part of the list. So if you're interested, take a look at the full episode. So speaking of the Michelin Guide, this is actually really interesting because a lot of people were waiting for Dubai to actually launch their own Michelin Guide. So Dubai is actually the 36th city that's been chosen to have a Michelin Guide. And it was only launched 3 years ago in 2022. So we had our first list, and then we had obviously the list that we have now. How many restaurants do you think there are?
The Michelin Guide is and Michelin Stars are such a fabled status that it's never going to be that many, right? Because obviously you have to reach very, very high standards to achieve it. So I'm going to go with a pretty low number. I'm going to go, is it around about 20?
It's actually very close.
Yeah.
So in its second year, Dubai now has 19 restaurants.
Woohoo! That's very close. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. In its first year, it had 14.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, so we're on the up.
Yes.
Nice. So 14. So what's the breakdown then? Have we got, how many with 1 star have we got?
We have 14.
Okay.
And then we have 5 with 2 stars. But we don't have any 3-star restaurants yet.
Yikes. So what will be the first restaurant in Dubai to get 3 stars? It could happen next year.
It could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Burger King in all of the Emirates.
No,
probably not. Probably not.
I personally feel it might be Trazen Studio. So that's one of the restaurants on the list that has maintained its status from the first year. It actually got 2 stars within the first year, this year as well. I feel like they could really grow it to be a lot more discerning and then eventually get to that 3-star. But again, who knows? Even this year was actually really special because we had a new restaurant join the list, which is the Rowan 45, which is in Grosvenor House in JBR.
Yep.
And it directly debuted as a 2-star restaurant, which is not very common.
Yeah, especially, I mean, it's considering open, like you say, less than a year to go straight in at 2-star status is quite the accolade, I would say, right? But we know it's a 17-course taster menu, right? 17 courses, and it's basically the chef has traveled a considerable amount. So it's like a journey. The taster menu takes you on a journey around the world through his travel experiences, right?
And I think that's really interesting as well, because for me, I think when anybody hears something like 17 courses, you're like, for food? Like
Yeah. Over how many days? Yeah.
So obviously it's a really long experience. They've extensively curated every single part of it as well. And it does come with quite a hefty price tag. Do you want to take a guess, Richard?
It's not going to be under $1,000, is it? It's not going to be under 1,000. No. I mean, because this is the finest of fine dining, right? Also, and I've seen the views from this restaurant, they're pretty special, right? Looking out to the ocean and Blue Waters Island and everything. So I'm going to go with, I don't know, 1,100 a person.
It's close. It's 1,145 per person. And then you have the beverage pairing. So collectively, I think you'd be spending around 3,000 for 2.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more, obviously, depending on the beverage pairing that you choose.
So obviously, it doesn't come cheap. But like we say, you're talking... It's an experience, isn't it? It's an experience for your senses.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, and some people, right? You know, there are a lot of foodies out there.
Yes.
And if you are a foodie, the Dubai food scene is pretty much something to behold. You know, it's becoming a culinary capital of the world, right? So hence why it's now got a Michelin guide.
Yep, exactly. But what other restaurants do you think are new on the list?
I know at the Wanzabil, the latest one and only, is the cantilevered building, very striking building. The link, which is obviously the link between the two buildings, there's a lot of fine dining restaurants in that link. Did any of those make the list?
Yes. So two of them actually did. One of them is La Dame de Pique, which is actually headed up by a female chef. And she has the most Michelin stars in the whole world. So now she gets to add another one through this.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
And then we have Sagetsu as well within the one and only Zabil. So those are the two ones that have been added to the list, and they've not been open for a very long time either. So I think there's a trend of all of these new sort of eateries and a new culinary destinations which are being added to the list.
Yep.
And then the last one that we have is Orfali Bros. So this was on the Bib Gourmand, and now it's been promoted to get an actual star. And we have another one as well, actually, in the St. Regis Gardens, but I think you want to speak about that one.
Yeah, I haven't been to this restaurant, but I would very much like to go. It's basically, well, first of all, we should say St. Regis Gardens, right? Is a bit of a fine dining hub.
Yes.
It's kind of on the roof of Nakheel Mall, quite an impressive space there. But there's a restaurant there, the Smoked Room, which has got itself a Michelin star.
Yeah.
Chef Danny Garcia from Andalusia, which is a region of southern Spain that comprises a number of cities. I believe he's from Marbella. But it's an area of Spain with a rich culinary history, right? And this restaurant, everything is kind of based around the flavour that can be get from smoking various different types of wood, and coals and what have you. So smoke is a fundamental essence in all the dishes. And some of these dishes sound pretty special to me. It's and I just like the idea of using smoke in that way in the culinary scene. So it's very much somewhere I would like to check out, and I will do, especially if someone pays for me. Man's going to pay for me to go for research purposes.
It's actually interesting because the smoked room has also not been open for a very long time.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been open for 6 months, right?
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Because the Regis Gardens has recently only opened within the last year itself. And I think all the restaurants are now open, but it was a bit staggered. First of all, like 1 or 2 were open, and then it's gradually progressed from there. So if you're into your fine dining, if you are one of the many foodies in Dubai, then you'll be wanting to check out some Regis Gardens and the Smoked Room. We'll see you there.
Speaking of the St. Regis Gardens, that's actually where Trazen Studio, the 2-star Michelin restaurant, is actually located. So I remember when I had first gone and visited the St. Regis Gardens.
Yes, you've been, haven't you? Yeah, see, you can actually talk from experience, which is more than I can.
I've been to a couple of these restaurants on this list and a few on the Bib Gourmand as well. So when I'd gone to Trazen Studio for the first time, I got really confused because they don't really have a lot of signage. They've improved that now, which is good. Because it feels really weird to walk through the mall and then...
I know what you mean. Because I've been to the View, right? And I think the View is, when you get to where you take the elevator, the View is basically the viewing gallery right up the top, right? But I think where you get it, I think that's where St. Regis Gardens is, where basically, and it is odd because you're just in the Nakheel Mall, and you're about to be going to the fine dining hub potentially of Dubai, and it just feels a bit strange that you're walking past the kids' play area.
So for me that was a bit jarring, but the rest of the experience was amazing. But I was like, why is it like this? I'm kind of confused, but it's all good. I mean, the Michelin Guide was founded to actually take you to places that you want to travel to, right? That's how the stars are kind of set up as well. So the first star is obviously for restaurants that use top quality ingredients and that have the best practices when it comes to preparing food, right? And then the second star is given to restaurants where the chef's kind of artistry and culture and imagery is broadcasted through the food itself. So you get more of a personalized experience.
Yeah, it's really, and the menus tend to be really refined by the chefs, curated by the chefs. It's kind of their whole their whole creation, if you like. You
like
know?
their whole ethos, their personality, all of that is conveyed. And then the third star was initially created for places that you really need to travel to, that you must check out, that cannot be missed.
Because also we're obviously talking about Dubai here, but we shouldn't overlook that Abu Dhabi also has its Michelin guide, which just came a year after Dubai's one. So the UAE is officially a fine dining
Destination.
Yeah, capital.
It is, yeah.
You know. So what about the Bib Gourmand?
Yes.
Should we tell people what the Bib Gourmand actually represents, what those restaurants...
So the Bib Gourmand is basically highlighting restaurants that deserve to be recognized for all of the level of excellence and service that they put in. And there are some restaurants that can be on the Bib Gourmand that are then, actually given Michelin stars. So Arfali Bros was one. It had gotten the Bib Gourmand and then it moved on to becoming...
So it kind of shows those restaurants, look, you're on the right track. This is a real high quality restaurant. You're on your way. If you carry on this way and even get even better, if you like, they could well be on the way to Michelin stars.
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
And they also have a special award, which is for sustainability. So it's like the Green Star. So we have 3 restaurants here in Dubai that actually have that. That's Low, Poka, and then Table. So there are different sort of levels for you to understand which restaurants you should have on your list and why. And personally, I actually prefer a lot of the restaurants on the Bib Gourmand list just to visit. I think because they're a little bit more casual, they're more homegrown, they have a different kind of vibe and atmosphere. Fine dining, I think, has its place, but it's not something that I think is very sustainable to visit frequently.
Yeah, I can
unless obviously you exist at a certain, financial bracket, or if that's something that is a passion for you. Because you have to keep in mind the food is also very rich as well, right?
Yeah, but if you're eating fine dining like 7 days a week, I mean, look, I'm sure well, number one, you need obscene amounts of money, which some people have. But also, like you say, the rich food, if you're eating that food, I'm not saying there's anything unhealthy about the food, but every single night, then, maybe it may be a little bit of overkill, some might say, know?
Exactly.
But tell me about a restaurant on the Bib Gourmand that you've been to or you want to go to.
Okay, so this is kind of tough. There are a few. So I personally really like Three Fills. So Three Fills is open at Jumeirah Fishing Harbor. It's a gorgeous location. It's contemporary Japanese fusion food. They have like sushi and they have Wagyu burgers. They have a bunch of different things.
Okay.
And they're super famous for also their karak ice cream. So they come and they actually present it on the table. They build it in front of you. It's a whole experience.
Okay, that is an experience. I need to check that out.
Table is another one. So this is on the sustainability list, and everything is farm to table. So everything is grown within the UAE, and they actually ship it from different parts of like Sharjah, Ras Al Khaimah, Abu Dhabi, etc. And they have a seasonal menu. So every single season, they will use different ingredients based on whatever is available and whatever has been produced. And they have a different menu every single year. So for me personally, I just really like that kind of ambiance. I like the fact that they have a focus on sustainability, and it's located at the Art Jameel Center. So I often go visit and I take a look at the galleries and then I stop by there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds incredibly nice and a very, very, what's the word, cultured way to spend your time, I have to say. Yeah, hey.
What
And
about you?
there's me going to the Vox IMAX to see the...
Come on, Richard, that's also valid. But is there any restaurant on the list, on the Bib Gourmand or on the Michelin itself that you'd want to go to? Okay, perfect.
There is one. I mean, there's more than one. I'm sure they're all very nice. But there's one that stood out to me, not just because of the name, but I do love the name. It's called Goldfish. I just love the simplicity of it. The Goldfish restaurant, fantastic. I don't know if they've got ridiculous amounts of goldfish in tanks. If you're in there, I doubt it very much. But if they haven't, they should have. But we'll let them off with that. But it's contemporary Japanese. The food looks absolutely stunning. They have Wagyu steak there as well, which is a personal favourite of mine. So it's in the Galleria Mall, Al Wasl, isn't it? Yeah. And so that is on my list. So when we do this podcast next year for Michelin Guide 2025, I want to have been... I'm going to make sure that I've been to the Goldfish restaurant, so I can tell everyone how absolutely terrible it was. No, how fantastic it was.
So it's interesting you mentioned this because Three Fills and Goldfish are actually competitors. They're local.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're
Rivals. Woohoo!
They're located across the road. They have very similar menus. They're both located in the Wasl side and in the Jumeirah side. It's interesting. It's interesting that you want to go there. You should also try to check out Three Fields and then compare.
Just over the road.
Yeah.
I'll eat in one, have lunch in one, and then go go over the road, and that's it. And check it out. Restaurant Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Restaurant Wars with Richie. Brilliant.
That's actually really good. You should start it.
But unfortunately, I think you probably need someone with a sophisticated palate for that kind of thing. And
You can build it by doing restaurant wars.
this is it. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
Build up my palate.
Yeah.
Make it more cultured.
exactly.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
Yes.
This time next year,
Yeah, we should hold
I'll be working
him
for
to-
Michelin.
We'll see. But yeah, any other restaurants, Richard, that have caught your eye on the Bib Gourmand or on the main list? Anything else that you want to discuss?
But I am excited to see. I don't think that 3-star restaurant is too far away.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
I think it's coming. So I'm hopeful that next year we'll be sitting here talking about Dubai's first 3-star Michelin restaurant, which would be pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to an end for this episode. We've covered our top picks for the Michelin Guide for Dubai for 2024. You can find the full list with all of the information on all of the restaurants, the location, the timing, and more on mybayut. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.
You're listening to the Watercooler Edit with Rich and Eman.